Hey guys, sharing a meal is never neutral. It's fellowship, right? And so the question is, whose table are you sitting at? I say this because I want to read to you 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 18. It says, "Observe Israel after the flesh. Are not those who eat of the sacrifices partakers of the altar?" And so eating food from the altar or eating at the altar meant fellowship with God. And it was an act of worship, right? And so when you join in a ritual or a feast or a sacrifice, you're aligning yourself with the God behind it, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 19 and 20 says, "What am I saying then? That an idol is anything, or what is offered to idols is anything? Rather, that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. And I do not want you to have fellowship with demons." Clearly, the item itself has no power. The food that is sacrificed has no power. But the fellowship behind them, behind that sacrifice, is a fellowship with demonic powers, and that has power, bad power. And so Paul's teaching that the worship is about allegiance. You can't, share at the Lord's table and then turn around and then share at the table of an idol, right? So Paul reminds us that the meals are tied to worship. They're never just about the food. And it's really ultimately about a spiritual participation, right? And so Israel's sacrifices were meant as a communion, a fellowship, an act of worship with God. And the pagan sacrifices mean the same, but they're a communion with the demons, right? And so Exodus chapter 20, verses 3-5 says, "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them." And in Matthew 4:10, and I love this because there's so much authority behind this, Jesus is speaking to Satan, and he says, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve." I love that. So we need to choose our table wisely. We need to remember that fellowship with Christ brings life, but fellowship with idols brings bondage. It really does. So whose table are you sitting at? Are you sitting at the Lord's table, or are you sitting at the world's table? Something to ponder. We need to continue to try to live victoriously for Jesus, guys. So until next time, God bless.